Hey family, I know it's late morning, but I want to hop on here real quick before I got too into my day. I woke up about 12:30, 1 o'clock this morning with my mind racing. Not from being anxious or anything, nothing like that, but I had a bunch of thoughts that were running through my mind. Thoughts about yesterday being Resurrection Sunday. Yeah, we had a great time. We had food, people were over, fellowship. We had a great time, but it wasn't just about the food and all that. I had a question. There were several questions. Now, let me say this. I know I'm wired a bit differently than most people. And over the last several years, I've become more and more comfortable with understanding that now. I say that now because as I share what my thoughts were and what some of the questions were, as well as the rabbit trail where my mind went, I know that many of you might say something like, man, I would have just gone back to sleep. I wouldn't have let that keep me up. But I'm wired differently. I woke up and the main question that sparked everything was simple. And it was this. What did the disciples do in the moments or the day after Jesus rose? I know in 2025 we have the luxury of the full scripture, especially the work of the apostles, the gospels. So we know what happens later. We know that the meeting of the two on the road. We know about the fish breakfast. We know about just appearing to the disciples twice. One time with Thomas there, the other without him there. We know about the Great Commission, the ascension, the upper room, the day of Pentecost. Y'all, we know all of that. We have that because the disciples lived it and they wrote it. But they didn't have that. For them, they woke up the day after the resurrection and it's like, what? Like imagine you were one of them without the luxury of the full New Testament. No letters, no stories. Yesterday was basically Sunday. They got the message that Jesus is alive. The tomb is empty. He is risen like he said. And then they wake up the next day, Monday morning, and it's like, what? I know I'm weird. Have you ever had a day though where something big happened, something that was life changing, life altering, but then you wake up the next morning and everything still feels kind of off. The miracle that has happened already. The victory's been won. But you still have these questions, and the questions just won't go away. The questions are still nagging. They're still there. Is that thought process and those kind of questions that led me to thinking about the day after the resurrection, the silence, the tension, the kind of faith that starts where clarity and knowing what comes next ends. Because sometimes the moment after the breakthrough, after the miracle, after this great moment feels more disorienting than the moment just before it. So if y'all allow me just for the next couple of seconds or minutes, let's put ourselves in their shoes on the day after, their day after shoes. The tomb was empty yesterday, but today still feels heavy. Have you ever had a moment where everything changed? I mean, everything changed, but still nothing feels different the next day. Immediately after they heard the message that came from who was it? Joanna, Mary Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of James. Luke says in chapter 24 that what they heard seemed like an idle tale, and that when they heard it, they didn't believe it. Y'all, these women had testified to what they saw and heard, eyewitness account. Peter, after hearing them, he ran to see it for himself. And he came back saying what he had seen. He saw the linen. The truth of the resurrection of Jesus Christ had been spoken. It was being shared, but the room was still filled with uncertainty. You see, it's one thing to hear that Jesus is alive. It's another thing to wake up the next morning and not know what to do with that information. Jesus is alive. Now what? This is that space where the resurrection is real, but the direction has not yet been revealed. The disciples are in the aftermath of the miracle. I mean, it's a great aftermath, but they're still after that. The shock of the resurrection has settled, but the silence has returned. And they're asking the same question that many of us ask today. What do we do now? Y'all, this moment absolutely matters because this is where faith starts to walk before clarity catches up. I love it. It's where belief deepens, not because of what we see, but because of what we trust. Yo, no, right around 2 o'clock, my mind was just racing. Jesus didn't rise from the grave for a moment of hype. He rose because it was the beginning of a new movement. And sometimes the most important step that we will ever take is when we take that makes no sense at all. It's a step that we take because we know he's alive. And maybe, just maybe, that's where some of you watching this are right now. You've experienced a breakthrough, but you're still carrying questions. Or maybe it's just me. Again, I'm wired differently. For some of you, you've heard the truth, but you're still waiting for it to transform into your reality, or to transform your reality. You believe God is moving, but the silence seems to be louder than any signs of movement. I know I've been there, but this is just part of the journey. It's this part of the journey that no one preaches about, no one teaches about, no one tells you. The part where faith gets quieter, but deeper and stronger. And whether your faith is fresh or if you've been saved for decades, this moment is where God meets us again, in the tension between resurrection and revelation. Y'all, we know how the story plays out, but in their shoes, we didn't. Where do you find yourself between the news of the resurrection and the reality of what hasn't changed in your life yet? And one of the other questions was, are you willing to trust that even in the silence, God is setting something in motion? Here's one I want to say. Don't rush this day, y'all. The resurrection has already happened. Where we are right now is in the space where the revelation is unfolding the day after. Let your heart breathe. Let your faith stretch. And trust that the silence of the day after the resurrection, the silence of today, is just the space where resurrection starts taking root. Y'all, I want you to sit with this moment. In the next couple of minutes, I'm going to type a prayer in the comments. And I encourage you to let this prayer guide your heart back to the one who is still writing your story. I don't know what's going to happen from here, but let's see. All right. Let's see. Let's see what happens from here. Let's see what happens after the day after. All right. Again, good morning. Again, I'm a little weird, wired differently, but I trust and pray that this was good for you all. I'll share this with you a bit later. Let's have a good day. All right. Again, I'm going to type in the comments the prayer. And I want you to kind of read it, let it wash over you, sit with it for a bit, read it over and over, share this video if you feel like it. But at the same time, this isn't to be, it's not one of those things I'm doing to share as far as the video. I'm certainly sharing this so that you all can be in my head with me and understand that Ben is wired a bit differently. But I believe there's some good things that God has for us. I believe there might be someone that can benefit from this video. All right.